Hello everyone, hope you have enjoyed your weekend, and what better way to end it with some hype energy F1 action from Apex Online Racing. This is the PlayStation 4 F2 League, and we're entering the second half of the championship tonight with round 7 out of 12 coming from the Shanghai International Circuit. It is the Chinese Grand Prix. Luke Etheridge here, and alongside me once again as usual is Austin Smith. And Austin, two Mercedes drivers looking really good at the moment. Kisi leading the championship, but he's not having it all his own way at the Silver Arrows now, as Loney's began to show some incredible pace, getting his first win of the season last time out in Austin.
Yeah, and what a fantastic performance he has shown. Started from pole position, was a lights to flag victory for him. He had a little bit of battle with Kiski, but in the end he did get it. I don't want to say quite easily, because Kiski did win on track. It's only the penalty that denied him the victory there. But Loney, he really found himself, I think, over the last two races. Remember, first race, when he was still a reserve driver at Bahrain, he had a fantastic time until he didn't, and then all of a sudden he finished in P15. Did not get any points for what was a fantastic performance at that point. And now he finally found his mojo. A second place 2 weeks ago in Italy, and then the win, his first of the season, his third ever in AOR. And I expect more from him to come.
Yeah, he's definitely looking one of the form drivers at the moment. While Kiski does seem to be running away with things slightly at the top of the championship, we're currently on board with Iamotti, the man who is in second place at the moment, over 40 points behind. Things are really hotting up in that battle for third position. You've got Johan, Thyman, Benidorm. Every single one of them, two of them are on 52 points. You've got Loney's not too far behind as well. Pedro's in there. It's extremely close between them. They're all drivers that have shown good pace at different points of the season. They've just not had the consistency that Kiski's been showing.
Indeed, P3 to P7, all within 7 points of each other. Johan Thyman at 52, Loney at 49, Aero at 46, and Pedro at 45. Those are the standings right now. And the consistency has really been the issue. I think the most consistent one, if you want to call it that, is probably Thyman, if not maybe Pedro, if you exclude his first race in Bahrain, where he did not finish, where he retired the car. Other than that, he's been in the points every time. A second place in the second round in Belgium, and then a 5th, a 9th, 7th, and 6th. So, always been around and close to the top 5, getting up twice, once with the second place. Other than that, you look at Aero, 2 podiums and a 4th place, but also an 8th, 15th, and a retirement. Loney, we talked about him, a win, a second place, but not much else to show for. 7, 15, and DNF. Thyman, quite consistent. Also has a podium under his belt with a second place in Japan. But apart from that, 4, 5, 2, 7 places, and P11 in Britain at Silverstone. Johan 3 podiums. He is the second most successful driver in that regard. Only Kiski has more podiums, obviously, with a second and 2 thirds. But apart from that, the other 3 races really didn't go his way. 8th in the USA, 11th in Italy, 13th in Bahrain. Only got 4 points out of those 3. So it really is about consistency. The only one who's really been consistently consistent is Kiski. 3 wins, 2 second places. The only one where he was a little bit off was Belgium, and even there, he got himself 4 points.
Yeah, he's not really had a bad race like the other drivers, as you said. He is the only person to have scored a point in every single race so far this season. To be fair, Jon Palainen in the Ferrari, he scored a point in every race he's been able to compete in, but unfortunately, disconnection issues cost him last time out in Austin. We're just following Iamotti around now as he heads around the hairpin at the Shanghai International Circuit. 5.451 kilometres, so just under 3.5 miles. First raced in Formula 1 in 2004, and like tonight, quite often it has seen wet conditions. And that is a 1:45.734 from Iamotti. Decent first lap time from him, a second faster than Slimbo. You've had Sam, who's invalidated his lap, Marco Kriesman going into second place. Just like to talk quickly about last week. Two of the drivers who really impressed me coming from low down the grid. You had Diamond with his qualifying ban getting into the points, but Aero, was it 15th on the grid he started, and he managed
14th.
to get on the 14th, sorry. But there was one point in that race where we both genuinely thought he had a great chance of winning it.
Yeah, it was absolutely a fantastic drive from Aero last time, and a well-deserved podium for sure. I still think he could have gotten more. Maybe he made some mistakes we didn't catch, but yeah, he did a great job there from P14. This is when you have a grid that's that close. We had qualifying sessions where we literally had all 20 drivers within a second of each other. We had that before this season. We had one with 18 within a second, one with 19 within a second, I think one or two with all 20 drivers within a second of each other. It is that close, and still being able to manage from P14 on the grid to overtake 11 cars over the course of the race to finish in P3. And most of the drivers he just straight up overtook. I mean, if you look at the drivers who started in front of him, someone like ILRT Max, he finished P17. Giggs started in P11, finished in P11. So for most of these drivers, you look at where they started, you look at where they finished, and you see that he overtook them. Most of them actually finished the race. And that's what makes it even more extraordinary. It's one thing to start from P14, finish P3, when you have like 8 finishes or 9, but 17 drivers finished the race.
Yeah, I agree. It was a fantastic performance from Aero. He had those soft tyres on the end and he took full advantage of them, which is what you need to do when you're on the alternative strategy. Maybe tonight, though, we could see a bit of a mixed-up grid with the weather conditions like this. At the moment, it is Diamond who is on top. I've just seen Pasty quickly getting on the gravel. That's causing a yellow flag. So Diamond in the top position at the moment. Kiski and Loney. Suso reserving for Aresti tonight in the Alfa Romeo. He's another driver who always tends to be at the sharp end of things in qualifying, just not fully come together for him every race so far. You've got Aero in 5th, Johan in the 6th. Impressive performance by Dynastic so far in 8th place. The Red Bull driver yet to score a point. I believe he might be the only full-time driver who's been here since the start of the season that has yet to get a point, but showing a good performance tonight in 8th position. But Diamond 144.280, and he's going around again, not as quick this time around. I'm not sure if the rain is actually getting a bit heavier around this circuit, because it does look very wet out there for intermediate tyres.
That might very well be the case if you paid attention early on. 19 drivers made it out at one point in this qualifying already, and we're still 10 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this session, which is very unusual. Usually you have about maybe 12 to 14 at most until, you know, it really, you know, everyone's about to throw it down, which is towards the end of the session. But here we had 19 drivers at one point, which tells me there's some kind of weather change coming. Could be that drivers are expecting it to clear up and they want to get a banker lap in normal conditions, in intermediate conditions, because you never know whether the tire is going to be good enough, whether the dry tire is going to be good enough if it does dry up, or whether the intermediate is losing grip. There is a point where neither tire, neither a dry tire nor the intermediate, is good enough to beat the running of the intermediate tire in these conditions right now. And so, because it's too dry for the inters and too wet for the dry tires. And so maybe it's that, maybe the rain gets heavier and the drivers don't want to go on to the full wets.
Yeah, Kiski, he's just set a lap time 2 seconds slower than his previous best. Suso was actually up and set a purple time in Sector 2 before he headed into the pit lane. So I hope for the sake of this qualifying session that things do stay in a good condition, and Thyman has proved that there is improvements to be shown out there. He's got even faster with a 144.159, but Furhan, second position, he's been another person who struggled, seemed to be involved in a lot of action last week with Sam Yabin, earned himself a penalty in the stewards as those two were battling over positions. Some might say a bit unnecessarily from the pair of them, but it's a great lap from him to put himself in second place, and as well as us hoping that it gets a bit drier, I'm sure Jompalainen and Sam Gamer will be hoping the conditions don't get much worse. They're yet to set a lap time, and we are halfway through this qualifying session.
Yeah, for them it would really strike them pretty badly, and they would pretty much be tied to P19 and P20, but Thyman has shown that there is improvement out there on track. And you mentioned Furhan. Furhan, to me, for this race is a really interesting one, because I was looking a little bit through the leaderboards on the PS4, the global leaderboards, time attack on China in the dry, and the number one name that stuck out to me was Furhan Racer in 51st place among more than 15,000 people on that leaderboard globally on the PS4. So he's on the almost the top 50 in the world on the PS4 on this track. If there's ever been a track for him, apparently it's China, and he proves that with a P4 right now, which I'm pretty sure would equal his best qualifying of the season so far.
Yeah, and it would give him a chance to set his best result of the season. Let's not forget, 7th in Bahrain, the only points he has got in the Renault. Both Williams drivers finding it a bit tricky going out on track at the moment. Saw Sam just losing it coming out of turn 10, and Aero's lost a big chunk of his front wing, so he's going to have to head back into the pits. But yeah, Furhan, on paper, he's got the most pace out of these guys, over one lap in the dry. He's not looking too shabby in the wet, I must say, either. 6 minutes 40 seconds remaining now in this qualifying session, and it's a VRT 1-2. Loney has got ahead of Thyman, and Pedro, he's a man who normally likes starting further down on the grid, but he's up in third position at the moment. He's done quite a few comeback races so far this season. Just imagine what he can do if he can get himself staying in that third position.
Yeah, I'm looking through right now to see where he usually started, and it's not looking good. He hasn't had a single top 10 qualifying so far this season in 6 races. It was 14, 16, 13. Let's see, where is he here? I can't even find him. There, 16. That's how far down he is. 19 in Italy, and 17 last time, where he was the last one to set a lap time, as both Sam and Thyman didn't even set a lap time. So, yeah, he really only starts from the back, but I can tell you, if he starts in the top 5, there's a good chance he will fight for the win. Last season in the F3, he started in P5, had a really good qualifying here, and then he finished in P2. Got really close to the win, unfortunately didn't get it, but it was a pretty good race for him altogether, and a second place and 18 points to show for.
Yeah, Pedro's definitely a driver. Has shown pace before towards the latter end of the season, and now that we're in the second half, maybe this is the time the Red Bull driver comes good. Just following Antoine, slowest of everyone to set a lap time at the moment, got his only points of the season in the wet race in Italy a few weeks ago. Let's see if he can improve his time in this qualifying session. That is a big improvement, putting himself into 9th place, just 1,000th ahead of the sister car of Dynastics. And even though it is a wet qualifying session, still got the extremely close qualifying that F2 is known for. 14 drivers separated by a second, so that's everyone from Loney at the top down to Iamotti, winner of the first 2 races, let's not forget, down in 14th at the moment. Things really haven't gone well for him. He's showing signs that he was heading back towards his best pace, but yet to get a podium after those first 2 races, and his championship challenge seems to be spluttering after looking oh so dominant early on in the season.
Indeed, the closest he got was a 4th place last week at the US Grand Prix, and he didn't really get all that close either. the gap at the end of the race. I mean, he did. The gap was 7/10 to Benidorm, to Aero. Benidorm is his name in the forum. That's why I always I always mess that up. But yeah, VRT Aero. So less than a second, but unfortunately he didn't get it. And that's 3 points gone. He is still second in the championship. Those 2 wins early on did serve him well in that regard. But yeah, he's really off pace here, it seems. P14, maybe he does have one more run left in him. The drivers do have, I think, 2 sets of the intermediates only for this qualifying session, and they will get a third for the race. But that means that you are severely limited here with the qualifying, and that's why you see a lot of drivers, not right now, but if you look at the best tire, you see that right up front, Loney, Pedro, they've done 3 timed laps. That doesn't include the out lap, by the way. And it doesn't include the in lap either. So they've done at least 3 timed laps, so 5 laps overall on their intermediate tires, and 4 laps before setting their final lap time, at least on that set. Same with Thyman, with 2 laps plus the out lap, meaning 3, and Furhan as well, as Kiski takes provisional pole by 17 milliseconds. It's getting really close up there, really cozy up front.
Yeah, he's just ahead of his teammate. Could we see another battle between the 2 silver arrows? Can Loney actually respond? He's been following Slimbo. He's not showing any improvement at the moment. Loney is going slightly faster through the first sector. He's a whopping 800ths up on his personal best so far, so maybe could be the first driver to get into the 143s. Thyman, he's just come into the pit, so he's actually coming out on his outlap now, so he's going to have to get a shift on in that Haas if he wants to set a hot lap in this session. He could be one of the last drivers across the line. We'll follow Loney around though, keeping it nice and smooth through turn 10, getting a bit of a drift on. Not the first driver to have done that in this session and maintained that time. In fact, he's actually lost 11 thousandths, but he's still slightly up on his personal best. He's got a Renault ahead of him. That won't be enough to put him off, and I don't think it's going to be close enough to give him even a slight toe. Trying to stay on to that dry line as he comes around that long banked corner. 12 and 13 now onto this over a kilometre long straight, the longest in Formula 1. Heavy braking there from 200 mile an hour. They'll be going a bit faster in the race, of course, if it is dry. We're still unsure of the race weather conditions, and there seems to be a massive queue of cars actually around turns 12 and 13. It always amazes me how racers always seem to find the same piece of track. As Loney, he takes pole position for now, a 143.815. It was a great final sector from him, and also a great lap from Suso, who at the moment looks like he's going to be joining the Mercedes on the front row.
Yeah, Kiski just came across the line, and that was really not an improvement, 4.5 seconds down, but I think this is the lap now for Kiski, for the championship leader, and it really is the lap for everyone right now. You see how much, wow, there's absolute traffic jam in the hairpin right now. Let's see, Thyman is coming out of it, he's ahead, and then we have Antoine going there. Johan has retired, what happened there? But yeah, everyone is just trying to get just a little bit of space there. Aero, I think, will be one of the last ones to come across the line and start the lap. And indeed he does. He did have about 8 seconds left to do so. And I think the last one is one of the Williams, which should be Antoine. Indeed it is. So Antoine will be the last one across the line. Meanwhile, Marco Krisman currently checks in at P10. I think Loney might actually be done for, although is he trying? It seems like he is. He's still in high ERS, now overtake. Yeah, I think he's still going for another improvement, which on these tyres certainly possible. Souza also want to watch out for a jumper line. Meanwhile, up into P6, we talked about him earlier, that, you know, he didn't settle lap time. And now he did, and it proved quite well for him. P6, Suso comes through the final corner. Can he? Dynastics goes fastest. Suso only P2, What a lap time from Dynastics. Loney now through the final corner, comes across the line. Only P2 takes it away from Suzo, but Dynastics' lap time is absolutely phenomenal. Here comes the leader of the championship, Kiski, through the final corner. What can he do? No, only P4. Pedro through the final corner, goes a little bit wide, but that is okay. Beats Kiski for P5. My goodness, the times are coming in more and more at Dynastics, just out of absolutely nowhere. Effectively, the Randy Orton of the F2.
Yeah, I think things must be drying up because times are dropping as pretty much with every car coming across the line. It's currently looking like a Dynastics Jack Eater 1-2. Loney in third place. Diamond takes second position. Furhan moved up into fifth as well. You've still got a few more cars, I think, coming round. Samuel moves into 10th place. Is Antoine. I think he's going to be the last man across the line. And it's pole position for Antoine. 143.422. I said we might get a bit of a mixed up grid in this qualifying session. We have a man currently on 4 points in the championship on pole, and a man who has yet to score in second place just behind him. What a qualifying session. And Kiski, we thought he'd done pretty well in 4th place, ends up qualifying down in 11th. This could be the chance for some of those other drivers like Thyman, Loney and Aero that they need to catch up to him. Iamotti, the man currently second in the championship, he's only 18th.
Yeah, really, really tough qualifying for both of them, Kiski and Iamotti. Iamotti even more so. It might be... I was about to say it might be a blessing in disguise, but it really is, because we had a wet qualifying, meaning the 11th place, which for some drivers is the desired position, doesn't really matter too much, because we had a wet qualifying, meaning that the cars are going to start on whatever tires they want to if we get a dry race. But again, we have 15 drivers within a second, 17 within 1.2. Only Yamati, Passi and Sam without a lap time, falling off a little bit there. Other than that, it's really, really good. I mean, look at the top 11. 3/10. What is this?
Yeah, ridiculously close, even by F2 standards. But it's Antoine who got pole position right at the death. Dynastics just behind in seconds. Thyman, he's less than a 10th off pole position. It's not even good enough for the front row for the Haas driver. Jack Eater, second race in a row. He's had a good qualifying. Was third last time out in Austin in qualifying. Can he convert that to a good result this time? Loney 5th, the winner from last time. Aero in 6th. Furhan Racer 7th. Max 8th. Suso or Pedro rounding out the top 10. Kiski, our championship leader, currently in 11th. Samuel Bean 12th. Jompalainen 13th. Giggs 14th. Johan 15th. Michael Kriesman 16th. Slimbo 17th. Iamotti in 18th. Pasti 19th. And Sam Gamer not setting a time in that session.
Yeah, and I think the lobby might be slightly broken because we're not moving on. There is supposed to be a little bit of a counter of 30 seconds, that we're long past 30 seconds. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Something is... Antoine has left the session, and now the counter is running, so our pole sitter has actually left. Oh no, hold on, I'm going to try and check the messages, because I'm pretty sure there is some... very, very hectic messaging going on right now.
I hope for his sake he's got another invite to the session, because that would be such a shame for him. I think they're saying a few people have actually been kicked from the session, but fingers crossed they can get back in. If not, it might be the second week in a row that we have to do a reset here. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I hope that Antoine can get back in somehow. He has joined, so he did have an invite left. That is good. Question is whether he's actually being considered a car and a driver in this. I mean, we've seen the issues with Jompalainen last week. Let's hope. Jompalainen, it was very unfortunate for him, but it was P15 in qualifying. I don't think he lost all too much there in terms of opportunity. Antoine, he's on pole position. And I really... It would be so shameful if he cannot capitalize on that pole position. Meanwhile, we are waiting. Jack Eater, I think, was the first one to ready up a little bit too quickly there. I don't know if that's a rule here. I know some leagues have that as a rule, where if you ready up too quickly, you get a 5-second penalty. but I don't think that's the case here. I'm not sure. If it is, well, Jack Eater got himself a 5-second penalty then already. But let's see, Antoine is there. No, he is not. He's in the pits and his car is not on track. I think we're going to have to restart this.
I mean, Antoine will be hoping he has done. I was just going to say, I only counted 19 names on the ready up tower on the right-hand side. But so at the moment, it's Dynastics now. Unless things sort themselves out on pole position with Thyman in second. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with this, because that'd be such a shame for Antoine if he's not able to take his pole position. Random anecdote, I think the first ever Formula 1 race I watched live, I remember David Coulthard qualifying on pole and stalling it on the formation lap back when that was a lot more common, and he did it at Monaco, so he had to start right at the back, and that was definitely one angry Scotsman that weekend. Just to see what tyres everyone has gone for, just in case the session does end up taking place. Everyone obviously on the dry tyres at what is a very overcast Shanghai circuit. Most drivers have gone for the hards. Only Antoine, who's in the pits, Dynastics, Jack, Slimbo and Iamotti on the mediums.
Yeah, that is to be expected when you have a free tyre choice. The soft around this track, it really isn't a good tyre. Only lasts about 5 to 7 laps. If that. I mean, 7 laps really stretches it. 5 to 6 is really how long you can take. If 7 is already puncture territory, I think. But yeah, you also struggle on rear tire temperatures on the softs, and so you can't really use them in the race. So for most drivers, this is going to be a medium to hard one stop, and it might be that there is some rain coming in the race as well. I mean, look at how overcast it is. And that's why a lot of these drivers are opting for the hards, so they know they can go really, really long into this race. The hards last around 20 laps, so you can easily do 3/4 of the race on those starting tyres, and then if you feel like it, you check on the mediums, and that's that.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with the race. Definitely looking overcast, maybe. The one extra pair of intermediate tyres will be needed. Dynastics taking his second spot on the grid, but he's got a clear run to the first corner. What can Kiski do? Championship leader in that 11th grid slot. Can he further extend his lead, or is this the time we finally see someone closing up on him? As we just wait now for the lights to come on at this Chinese Grand Prix. And there they are. We've got 3, 4 and 5. And then when they go out, we will be racing here at China, and it's a good start from Dynastics. Shakita seems to have got a fairly good one as well. One of the racing points challenging a Williams, but a lightning start from Dynastics. He takes the lead of this race, and Thyman, he's now battling as well with Shakita at the moment. The Haas, getting ahead of that McLaren. Loney doing pretty well as well. Antoine has re-left the session. I think it's going to be curtains for him. Such a disaster for the man who was fastest in qualifying, but Dynastics is absolutely shut off the grid at the moment, as you'd expect probably on those medium tyres. Jack trying to get past Thyman as well, but at the moment it's Dynastic, Thyman, Jack, Loney, Furhan doing well as well to maintain his place, and Kiski, he's already moved up 4 places.
Yeah, and the difference between the medium and the hards isn't as big as between the mediums and the softs. It's only 7 to 8 tenths between those two compounds. So Jack Eater does have an advantage, and he needs to get past Thyman rather quickly. But it's not easy because the advantage isn't that big. But every single lap he remains behind this hard compound runner of Thyman. He just loses more and more time, and you see how much Dynastics is pulling away. Part of that is the tyre, part of that is also Dynastics just being really, really fast.
Yeah, Jack Eater just pulling out the slipstream there, almost as if he was going to look for a move. Further back, Pedro having to go round the outside of Samya Bean. The two Hasses really getting involved in battles here, but Pedro in 10th place. Iamotti, he's trying to move up as well. Sam Gamer's come up to 15th, but at the end of lap 1, it is Dynastics with a nearly 2-second lead at the moment over Thyman, but he's under big pressure now from Jack Eater. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside at turn 1, not able to do so. We've already had a pitter, that is Giggs, coming into the pit, so I can only imagine he had damage, as did Slimbo. Maybe those two have got together off camera, but Thyman is doing well to hold on to that second place.
Yeah, they have gone together. They've come together in lap 1, in turn 1, in fact. And Jackita, meanwhile, trying to get past Simon there. And yeah, they both have front wing damage, and so that's why they are both into the pits. That happened way down in the field, in not just the midfield. This was the lower midfield, really, where those two came together. And they both strapped on the medium tires now to at least go halfway into the race. And then maybe another set of mediums is what I would assume.
Yeah, that is
because they've got the hard.
Right.
That is true. That's an assumption we shouldn't make, I think. Jackita runs wide on the exit of turn 13. My goodness, what a violent twitch. He just suffered there. Thank goodness he did not spin off. But that's his chance at overtaking Thyman gone for now. And he's going to have to wait until lap 3, until that DRS is activated, which will not be on the start-finish straight, where there is a DRS zone, but the detection point is right here before turn 16, before the final corner. Meaning, with DRS not enabled yet, and only just now being enabled, Jackita is not going to get this on this straight. He has to wait for the back straight, for the 1.2 kilometer monster that is waiting in the final sector.
Yeah, and all this time, you can see now, Dynastics fastest lap, once again, 3-second lead for the Red Bull driver. If Cosworth did perfect starts to an F1 race, this would definitely be up there. It's reminiscent of the Vettel days at Red Bull, where he just seemed to sprint away from the field. You can see Jackita lock it up. He's getting pretty impatient. He wants to make his way past Thyman, but he can't afford to do anything too hasty with Loney, Furhan, Aero, Kiski, Suso, Samuel Bean, Pedro, Marco Kriesman. It's still incredibly close at the moment behind that Haas. Everyone in a train, one slight mistake and you are just going to find yourself getting swamped by cars. But if that timing sheet is right, every car up until Pedro, now, will be in DRS, and he's not too far off it himself. Thyman could be a bit of a sitting duck here. He got slightly up on the curve there, coming around turns 13 and 14. Vasta Racer noting in the chat, the reigning F2 champion, that these battles are helping Dynastics, and Jack won't be wanting to battle for too much longer. He's making his way now down the inside. He's got it done before the braking zone, and Jackita, DRS assisted, makes his way up into second position. Marco Kriesman and Pedro swapping round further back as well. Will Thyman be able to fight back now on his way into turn 1? Just looks a bit too far behind at the moment. Further back, you've got Aero pretty close to Furhan, but all these drivers having DRS, of course, just makes it that extra bit easier to defend.
Indeed, and when everyone has DRS, no one has DRS, really, because it's all relative compared to the other cars on track, as the sky seems to be clearing up a little bit, so I think the probability of rain has gone down at least a little bit. That doesn't mean there's not going to be any rain. I've seen crazier things happen here at China. Rain is always a possibility. We saw it in qualifying, and I wouldn't be surprised exactly if we saw some rain towards the end of the race, but for now the skies do clear up a little bit, and you can see Jackita just pulling away a little bit. We're talking almost 3/4 of a second that he's already pulled. In fact, now more than 3/4 of a second. It's almost a second by the DRS detection point, which is right here in the corner. There it is. Thyman just drove over it, and he is in the DRS range, so he will get the assistance, with being only about 8.5 tenths down on Jackita.
Yeah, this DRS train could be crucial for the outcome of this race. Those on the hards will be hoping that whoever's at the head of their train, and at the moment that is Thyman, manages to just stay within DRS range of Jackita, because these two medium runners at the head of the field, Dynastics and Jack, will be hoping to sprint away. Iamotti, he's also on the medium tyres. He's finding it pretty tough, mired in this midfield battle in 12th place. And we've got Slimbo and Giggs also on them, but they pitted early on in the race, obviously. So we'll see what happens at the moment. Iamotti looking at Johan, needs to move up the field and try and make the best of these tyres, but as we said about a lap ago, everyone has got DRS. He's going to have to try and surprise someone. He gets very close, gives Johan a little love tap. Maybe he's going to have to go Ricciardo-esque into turn 6. That might be his best opportunity if he's close enough. He's going to have to be very brave on the brakes this time around.
He does it. Oh! He attempted it, but it wasn't there, and thankfully Johan saw it coming, left him a little bit of space so Iamotti doesn't overcook it, and ultimately Johan stays ahead. Meanwhile, we have Antoine in the chat saying, I'm so disappointed, and I gotta say, I feel for the man. You qualify in pole position, your first pole position of the season, and this is how it ends with a disconnect. It is just so unfortunate, so unlucky. I just hope he can bounce back next week for what is going to be the Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, fingers crossed he uses this as confidence, because it was a good result for him. Diamond, I think, was actually outside of the DRS range this time around, but Loney not close enough to do anything about it, and Diamond just getting ever closer with a slipstream. I think someone went very deep there. I think Furhan went... Was it Furhan who went deep, and Aero trying to attack the Renault, but that Renault just holding on to 5th place. Furhan was in plenty of action last time around, and he seems to be enjoying himself once again. Aero, though, underneath the rear wing of that Renault, not able to do anything into turn 1. And Kiski just keeping it safe, not staying too close to these guys at the moment, in 7th position.
Yeah, meanwhile, Aero might have some completely different issues. He is running low on fuel. He is below target. If you look at his telemetry, you see the little yellow fuel indicator there. That means he's running below target right now, so he needs to save some fuel. He does have a lot of time left to do so, with almost 23 laps. But, you know, it is certainly a challenging situation. You don't want to run low on fuel, usually. You want to rather have a little bit extra so you can fight. So for Aero, I think it's best to just stay in this train as the fuel indicator has now disappeared. Meaning that he did save at least a little bit there. It's back and it's gone again. So he's really on the verge of being below. He's really on the target, but it's so dangerous. And you'd rather have a little bit of a fuel reserve come the end of the race. So he still needs to save some. In fact, what he does now is he goes full ERS, probably burns a little bit more fuel, and he just to stay with Furhan at this whole train.
Yeah, further back though, Pedro, who has dropped behind this train, so he's sort of the second cork in the bottle, and Johan moving up into 10th place. So Toro Rosso passing the senior team of Red Bull. Iamotti, he's trying to get himself involved in that battle, but not able to do anything. Out in front of this race though, that lead gap has come down significantly. Jack Eater now within 2 seconds of Dynastics. Diamond still holding on to that 3rd position, as further back Pedro looked as if he was going to get close to Johan, but not able to do so. So Jack really closing that gap, and most importantly for those on the hard tyres, they're all being dragged along with him. So things looking pretty tough at the moment for Dynastics and Jack Eater. They'll have been hoping to pull away a bit more in these opening 7 laps. Nearly a quarter away through this Chinese Grand Prix. Dynastics, Jack Eater and Diamond, the top 3 at the moment.
And remember when I said earlier that the difference between the mediums and the hards is between 7 and 8 tenths a lap? That counts both tires being fresh. Obviously, as we progress into the race and the mediums wear out faster than the hards, that difference comes down. So at the start of the race, the difference was about 7 to 8 tenths. Now I would estimate that it has come down to maybe 2 or 3 tenths only of advantage, and certainly something that the drivers can pull out and can balance out just through their own ability, you know, their own pace. So Thyman and Loney are not going to lose that much more time now, and the rest of the hard runners to Dynastics and Jack Eater up front. I think it will stay at around 3. It will maybe go up to 4 seconds, but that's going to be it, as Thyman struggling a little bit through the final corner, running a little bit wide there, and losing himself a little bit of time, but not all too much. It is a tricky final corner. They're easy to extend. We've seen Antonio Giovinazzi making mistakes there twice in the real F1. So if even the real drivers can struggle with that corner, then certainly our virtual drivers can.
Yeah, I mean, you saw what the real drivers were doing last week at the virtual GP with the slightly more relaxed corner cutting rules than we have here at AOR. They were just making up their own racetrack around that final corner. Do that too often here, you will find yourselves getting a penalty. Just looking at Kiski now, who got close to Aero on that straight, but with Aero having the DRS of the Renault of Furham, was not able to get close enough to have an attack. He's just looking pretty comfortable at the moment in 7th position. He's had 5 podiums out of the 6 races so far, and he's definitely going to have his work cut out if he wants to extend that to 6 out of 7. Are we going to see any moves from him? Will we see an undercut? It's going to be a long time, of course, before these guys on the hard tyres pit.
Yeah, but not too long. We're already almost 8 laps in. The pit window for the medium runners starts around lap 10, although I would expect most of them to come in by lap 11 or 12.
Oh,
as Kiski sends one! Yeah, sends one on Aero. My goodness, that actually gets the position. That was the wrong corner, but it was a Ricciardo-esque overtake right there. If he does that into turn 6 on Furhan, that would be the proper recreation. Although Furhan now in the Renault, in effectively Ricciardo's car, as Slimbo is effectively a second retirement. Iamotti goes into the pits very early here. I think that might be damage, and we have a safety car. First safety car. That is because Slimbo crashed on, that is the exit of turn 10, and that is a tricky corner. The exit really tricky there. Same for that corner as for turn 16. If you run a little bit too wide, you're losing a lot of grip all of a sudden, and sometimes it just spins you around, and I think that's exactly what happened to Slimbo right there. So he is our first on-track retirement, obviously, with Antoine not being able to take his car. Very unlucky there. But Slimbo, I think that was just a complete driver mistake there.
Yeah, I think he's just dropped it on his own. You've just seen Iamotti passing the safety car. He might have played a blinder here, being able to get into the pit stop at just the right time on the fresh, hard tyres. So we'll see whether Dynastics and Jackie Eater feel we need to come in as well. Giggs, he's heading into the pits. He's come out on the hard tyres. But if Iamotti is a bit far behind the field, it'll be interesting to see whether those on the medium tyres do feel the need to pit and take advantage of this shorter pit stop time, obviously.
I would think so. You can, as I said before, you can take those hard 20 laps. Plus you're behind the safety car, meaning early on, there's even less wear on these tires. You can effectively say for every lap, and Dynastics does come in indeed, and Jack Eater does as well. Yep. Thyman also follows in. That is surprising. I would not expect the hard runner to come in, but Thyman has other ideas. Furhan and Loney stay out, and more hard runners coming in now. That is very surprising to me. Dynastics already on his way out of the pit lane. Where's he going to rejoin? Semibean stayed out. Dynastics seems like, is it P4? This is, nope. Chrisman goes past, but P5. And he doesn't have to pit anymore. Pasty stayed out. So Pasty stayed out, and Dynastics, because it was under safety car, only lost so much time that he rejoined ahead of Pasty. Jack Eater as well in P7, and then all the hard runners switching to mediums. That is very surprising to me. The mediums last around 15 to 17 laps, so that's going to be tricky to make it to the end of the race.
Yeah, I think they could be hoping that this safety car period lasts quite a bit longer. Kiski got himself a 5-second penalty there for a severe collision with Aero. We saw them both get one of those earlier on in the season. I believe it was at Suzuka under the safety car, and it got rescinded after the race by the steward. So it'll be interesting to see if that is the same. Iamotti, you can just see he's gained a few positions. He's up in now into 11th place. He doesn't have to pit again, but the order now on lap 10 under the safety car will just change so you can see who was pitted and who hasn't. Loney at the front. I suppose you could say we've got a Mercedes 1-2 at the moment with the Mercedes AMG. Bernd Schneider driving us round. Furhan in second.
That's one way to look at it.
All I can say he's one of the best defenders in Formula 1 because I can't remember many people passing him.
Fair enough. But yeah, so let's see, when are we going to have the restart? It's not yet time. We do get one more lap under the safety car. We are going to get the notification before turn 11. Once the safety car is pulling in, the notification will come up before turn 11. So we're going to have one more lap at least under the safety car now. And some more time for Giggs to try and close up to the rest of the field here, as he is trying to save as much fuel as possible. So he has to, and honestly, Pedro and Max now in the pits. Oh, I think I know what they're trying to do. They just wanted to get the mediums out of the way, and now they're going to go back onto the hards, maybe. Let's see what they're doing. Yep, Pedro onto the hards, and Max onto the hards. They really like the hard tire, apparently, and they're going to be able to go back, go to the end of the race now on these for sure. And effectively on the same strategy as Dynastics and Jack Eater now.
Yeah,
and the Amati as well.
Yeah, Giggs as well, obviously he's changed, so this could work out pretty interestingly. You can see those that haven't pitted: Loney, Fairhand, Samuel Bean, Marco Kriesman and Pasty, with Dynastics in the middle of them, as he's actually gone ahead of Marco Kriesman, as Sam gets a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits. I'm not quite sure what he has done under the safety car to earn that penalty, but that seems pretty harsh, I must say. I didn't see the incident.
That was turn 6. I don't know what he did to get a 10-second time penalty in turn 6. Did he take the alternative track layout, where he effectively cut out about 20% of that track, of that section? Here we go. We have our notification now. That's exactly what I said was going to happen before turn 11. We just got it as the drivers were approaching turn 11. Safety car in this lap. So we will be back under green flag racing as soon as Loney comes across the line. He now dictates the tempo for the rest of the field. Obviously no overtaking until the line. And Loney is the one to make sure, hopefully make sure that happens. The stewards obviously will make sure as well. But Loney is the one who sets the tempo.
Yeah, he is effectively the safety car at the moment. Watch out for how Dynastics and Jack Eater can do on those fresh hard tyres. We're first and second before the safety car period. And Thyman, Kieski, Suso as well. They're on mediums. They'll be wanting to make their way up through the field, because they're surely going to have to do 2 stops, you'd have to think. But Loney, when is he going to go? And he's bolted already before the final corner. He's just caught Furhan out slightly there, but not too much, as Fern's actually ran wide. Quite a few of them running wide around the final corner. So good safety car restart by Loney. He maintains the lead of this race, and already Kieski's looking pretty racy underneath that rear wing of Diamond, but not close enough this time around. Textbook restart from Loney to maintain the lead of this race. We're on lap 12, and hopefully we've got 17 racing laps left in this Chinese Grand Prix. As Samuel Bean, he's looking pretty close to Furhan at the moment. These two got very close to each other on multiple occasions in Austin, and I'm sure Samuel Bean's having some flashbacks from that, and he'll be wanting to get past Furhan as soon as possible. But Loney, he'll be trying to pull away and maybe take his second consecutive victory of the season.
Yeah, and really the interesting thing now, I think, in terms of strategy, is for all the medium runners. They have to strike a balance now between attacking and actually making up positions, as they do have the tire advantage on everyone else for now. If you look at Thyman right now, he's on the better tire than Jackie Eater. Should have about 7 to 8 tenths on him. Pasty is on the old hards, meaning that Thyman should have about, certainly over a second advantage per lap on Pasty, who is now under pressure from Jack Eater. My goodness, I'm stumbling over my words. Jack Eater here, trying to force his way to the inside, and he did so. And Pasty losing one position, and he gets really close there. Thyman stuck behind Pasty, and Kieski was trying to get involved in this and trying to sneak his way into P8. Thyman says, not so much, my friend, and Thyman for now stays in P8. Kieski, meanwhile, round the outside of turn 1, and he seems to make a really good job of it, as Thyman is stuck behind Pasty. And they're still side by side through turn 3 and 4, and Kieski now no, he does not have the position. What is going on here? They need to get past Pasty. There goes Thyman with the Ricciardo move. Full send, and he gets past. And so does Kieski. Pasty losing 2 positions there in the span of just 1 corner. Next up is Susto. He's trying to find a way past. Pasty is at this point just low-hanging fruit, and there is Suso around, and
Arrow.
I could not see. Yeah, Arrow as well. They both tangled up. I think there was a third one, though, who gave those two a little push. I unfortunately couldn't see it because I was on board with Suso, so I couldn't see what exactly happened. But both of them round, and they're down to the lower end of the field, and there goes Suso right past Arrow. What an overtake just before the DRS detection point. Remember, DRS still disabled as we are still under the safety car restart. 2 laps after that, no DRS, and then the third is when it's activated. So once Loney comes across the line, I think we will see the DRS, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe that's the case as well. DRS enabled. Jack Eater just slightly tapped the back of Dynastics there and has lost one of his end plates, so things not looking too handy for him because he's not scheduled to make a pit stop for the rest of the race. But Thyman, I'm not quite sure how he defended that position from Kieski. He was getting held up by Pasti. Pasti found himself in the middle of it, and it was a very forceful move to get past the Renault, but that's what he needed to do to avoid being held up any longer. Suso, it's a shame for him because he was looking really good at one point. As Jack Eater, he's feeling the need to defend. Can Thyman make it all the way around the outside of turn 6? Not able to get the overlap, and Jack Eater will hang on another day. And this time, luckily for Thyman, Kieski wasn't close enough to take advantage, but you can just see that extra advantage he's got on the tyres. We don't think he was really planning for an overtake there. He's ran very wide, and Kieski's going to try and go round the outside at turn 9. And he's got the move done. I think Thyman just got caught out there by the pace of Jack Eater, or the lack of pace with that damage. Had to take avoiding action, and Kieski, ever the wise driver, took in full advantage.
And not just that, Thyman tried to take avoiding action, but he was not successful in doing so. There was a little bit of debris flying off, and it was in fact the right side end plate of Thyman's front wing. So he effectively now has the same damage as Jack Eater, which is very, very unfortunate for the Dutch driver in the Haas. Jack Eater fighting with Kieski there, and this time Thyman says thank you very much, and he does take the position on the equally injured car of Jack Eater, and Thyman now up into P7 on the better tyre as Farhan goes into the pits on those hards. He's the first driver who did stay out under the safety car to now come into the pits, and obviously seriously hurts him there in terms of track position, but he will not have any issues with his mediums come the end of the race.
Yeah, he'll just be able to fly to the end, and the big question is, can those on the mediums make it to the end? If Thyman does have to pit, you'll imagine he'll replace that front wing, so he is down in 6th. Kieski, 5th position, leading those that are on the medium tyres at the moment. 1.7 seconds behind Dynastics as Pasti has gone off the circuit. He's reset to track just in front of Suso. No damage done, thankfully, but he's down in 16th, and it looks like it's going to be another struggle for Pasti at this race. But Kieski, somehow, I must say, after qualifying 11th, he's looking pretty good at the moment, and Iamotti, he's moving into 7th position. This could be a real battle between the two title contenders heading towards the end of this race. We know Iamotti will definitely get to the end. The big question is, can Kieski and Thyman keep those mediums in good enough condition?
And that really is the question. Same goes for Sam and John Palainen and Johan and Suso as well. We know Farhan and Aero are going to be able to make it as far down as they are, as Giggs and Max are apparently fighting. Hold on a second there. And Sammy Bean's in the pits, and Loney, that is to be expected. Lap 15, now really the pit window in full effect for those who stayed on the hards. Marco Krisman going a little bit longer, certainly a possibility. Try to hold up the cars behind. You know, drivers like Dynastics, like Kieski, trying to hold them up a little bit. For John Palainen, maybe a little bit of teamwork there going on with the Ferraris. Marco Krisman knows he has to pit once more. John Palainen, maybe he thinks he can go to the end. It's risky for sure, but if you can try and hold up these these runners in front, like Dynastics and Kieski, maybe you can help your teammate a little bit.
Yeah, John Palainen, in his credit, he's always been fantastic at keeping his tyres in good condition, so I'm sure if there's anyone who can make those mediums last towards the end, it is him. Kiski doesn't seem to be taking it too easy though. He set the fastest lap last time around. He's just a second off the lead at the moment. You can see how much Marco Kriesman is struggling. Dynastic's going to be within DRS range, but Kriesman getting good traction there off that back corner. Already feeling the need to go defensive. Dynastic's going to open that flap on the rear wing of the Red Bull. He's now going for the position. Marco Kriesman defends to the inside, just moves across, but he left that one car space, and Kiski might be saying thank you very much here. I think Kiski, he's got himself up to second place, but Dynastics is on the inside, heading into the final corner. Kiski tries to squeeze him slightly, and he takes the lead of this race with Marco Kriesman pitting. That could be crucial for Kiski. He needed to get past Dynastics as quick as possible, even if he is A, making another pit stop because he needs to extend the gap, or staying out because he doesn't want Dynastics right behind him if those mediums start to wear off.
Yeah, now is the time really for Kiski to try and pull off Dynastics as far as possible and just get the gap as high as possible, as big as possible. Those mediums, I still fear they might not be able to make it in the perfect condition to the end, meaning they will fall off the cliff. I don't think that the drivers are going to get to the puncture territory unless they really don't take care of their tyres. But I think if we look at the ones who are pulling off this strategy, we see Kiski, we see Thyman, we see Sam is a little bit of a question mark there, I think, because he does have a slightly more aggressive driving style. But Jumpalainen, you talked about it earlier, he's always taken really good care of tyres, and Johan as well. His consistency should see him through there as well. He does have a really smooth driving style as well. So 4 of these, Kiski, Thyman, Jumpalainen, and Johan, I think they're not going to struggle too much. Sam might be under a little bit of pressure there in terms of tyres. But the other 4, as long as they take good care of tyres, they are going to fall off a cliff towards the end of the race, maybe lap 27, but they're not going to get into puncture territory.
Yeah, maybe battling all in the same part of track as well. We see Sam Gamey, Jompalainen and Pedro pretty close together. Pedro's actually right on the rear wing of that Ferrari, but not close enough to have a go into turn 1. We are on lap 18 now as Jack Eater loses another place to Suso. Suso trying to recover his way back up after that incident, and that broken front wing really affecting Jack Eater as he just got tapped slightly by Suso. Lost the car but managed to regain control. He is now down in 12th place. Another race where it seems to have been a fantastic qualifying for the McLaren of Jack, but things not going to plan in the race. Iamotti, though, the other McLaren, in 4th place at the moment, right behind Thyman, who is a bit walking wounded slightly at the moment, and we might be getting to the point where those hards are starting to possibly be the better tyre. Those mediums about halfway through what they're going to have to do, and Thyman, obviously, he's really going to struggle to get them to the end, given the lack of downforce that he's got. Iamotti all over the back of him. Wouldn't be surprised to see a change for the final podium positions in the DRS zone here, Austin.
Yeah, both tyres are going to be about the same pace after 10 to 11 laps of wear. So we're getting to that point. Yeah, Motti's on 9 laps, almost 10. Remember, we are towards the end of this lap. So you have to count almost the whole lap that they've done. So 10 laps for Iamotti as he goes for an outside overtake on Thyman into the hairpin. Is he? Oh, what a beautiful traction there for the McLaren, and he actually makes the move stick. Fantastic stuff there from Iamotti as he takes a podium position. Remember, we talked about it earlier. He didn't have a podium as Thyman tries to come back at him now around the outside of turn 1, but Iamotti should have the grip on the inside to hold it there, and he does he? Thyman's still there. They do tap a little bit. Slight wheel banging, and they're still side by side. Thyman is considered ahead now. Back to Iamotti. My goodness. They're still side by side. Into turn 6 they go. You can't really hold it around the outside here, but Thyman still does. Gets the better exit now. And I think this is a one-car corner. You can't go side by side here. Iamotti tries the switchback. Now on the outside for the next one. They do touch again. Iamotti sent very wide. And that invites Sam to the mix. He's now right on the back of Iamotti, and Thyman does remain in 3rd place for now after this absolutely scintillating battle.
Yeah, Thyman and Emotti had actually escaped from Sam, Jompalainen, Pedro, Johan, Max, Suso, as we see them all come around turn 11 and 12. But that battle has just allowed them all to catch up. So it's anyone's guess at the moment who is going to take that final podium place. Out in front, Dynastics is staying close. This time, Iamotti, he's going to try the more conventional route down the inside into the hairpin. Diamond not able to hold on around the outside. I don't think he's just about done it. He's getting good traction and downforce in that car to say it's missing some of its pieces, and he's ahead once again. Pedro managed to get ahead of Jompalainen as well. You can't take an eye off these guys for a second. Now Iamotti, he's going to try it all the way around the outside at the start of lap 20 into turn 1. Gets it done, and Sam, he's trying to shove his nose in. Is he going to switch and get Thyman as well? Not this time. So I think that looks like it's Thor, Thyman and Iamotti, as Jack Eater has actually retired from the session. That is in the pit lane by the looks of things. Should not cause a safety car. Sam, for a second there, I thought he was going to go for a lunge into turn 6, but thinks better of it. This time around, Thyman was going to have to do a lot of defending, I feel, in the rest of this race with that broken front wing. And as you said, Austin, we're getting to that 10-11 lap point now on these tyres. So that's not really going to be playing a part, as you can just see how close Sam's getting through this middle sector, where the downforce is key through turn 7 and 8.
Yeah, it is not really playing a part right now, the tyres, as they're pretty much on equal footing at this point, but it will play a part later on, because as time progresses, obviously, those hards actually do get faster than the equally worn-out mediums, because the mediums obviously wear out faster per lap, generally faster, and the hards can go longer. So we are pretty much at that crossover point where the hards are faster, and you now see Sam and Thyman battling. Sam taking the position off of the Dutchman, and up into 4th place he goes. Thyman really struggling there. Remember, he does have a little bit of front wing damage from going into the back of Jack Eater when he wasn't exactly expecting to, and he still has that damage. So that's why Thyman's a little bit slower here. He should be easy pickings now for Pedro in P6. The question really is, when is Pedro going to make the overtake, and not if?
Yeah, he's always just lost a car slightly, lost a rear through the turns 4, so is that going to give Jompalainen a slight chance to get close enough through 6? Not this time. He looks to the outside, but not able to do anything, so Thyman breathes for the next few corners at least, as Sam, he now sets himself in pursuit of Iamotti, but those hard tyres are beginning to come into their own. Out in front, and we haven't really talked about the two leaders for a lap or two, Dynastics, he's hanging on to Kiski at the moment, that gap at 0.4 of a second. The Red Bull, as we go on board, just going slightly deep into turn 11. Kiski will be pretty happy at the moment. He doesn't want to get too involved in a battle with Dynastics. Let's not forget, this Red Bull driver yet to score a point this season. He has only finished in 2 races with a 13th and a 17th position, and he's looking very good at the moment to get a podium, and it might even be a win for the Red Bull driver. He's got 7 and a bit laps remaining, as Pedro, he's closing in on Thyman. That's going to have to be a lunge from the other Red Bull, and not this time around. Is he able to get the switch back on the Haas? No, he is not. So he might have a go into turn 1 as Suso, after that incident with Aero earlier, he's really fighting his way up the field. He's back into the points in 9th position.
Yeah, but meanwhile, slight correction there. I think you skipped a row there. Dynastics does not have a single point. That is true, but he finished P11 twice and P13 once. I think you dropped one line too low there. With 2 more DNFs also to his name, and he wasn't there for the US Grand Prix last week. So a 2nd place would absolutely catapult him up the standings and finally get his first points on the board. That really makes me question whether Dynastics is actually going to try and go for the win. You get your chance at getting 18 points, your first 18 points of the season. I think you're gonna take it. However, Kiski, remember, he does have a 5-second penalty from a collision with Aero. I think it was under the safety car, if I'm not mistaken. And the question is whether that 5-second penalty will be removed. He doesn't have any further penalties. Neither has Dynastics. Dynastics doesn't even have a single track extension warning. That's how tidy he has been in his driving. But here comes Dynastics getting closer, but he's not even trying to attack. You see no ERS deployment there, all the way down to 0. So he's not trying. Maybe he just thinks it's too early, or maybe he's just content with second place and his first points of the season.
I don't know whether I'd be content with second place. Reminds me a bit of the Alonso Perez situation in Malaysia 2012. Surely, if you've got a chance of getting that victory, you've got to go for it, because you never know when you're going to be in this situation again. There's a few yellow flags. That is just for the retired car of AOR, who did retire in the pits, but his Williams seems to be carrying on AI assisted around the track, and finally is removed. But Dynastics, he's all over the back of Kiski for the lead. Sam Gamer all over the back of Iamotti for position. Pedro has managed to get ahead of Thyman, so it's a very good race at the moment for Red Bull, with both of their cars in the top 5, and then Thyman, Jon Palainen, Johan, Suso and Max rounding out the points at the moment. Loney, though, on those medium tyres after starting on the hards and not pitting under the safety car. We thought it was a mistake. He's down in 11th place, but he's going to have some great pace in these final few laps with fresher tyres than these on the mediums ahead of him.
Yeah, and coming back to Red Bull being in P2 and P5, as we have a yellow flag in Sector 2, what is going on there? I can't even see where it is, where exactly it is on track. It's already gone again. That was very quick. I don't know what exactly happened there. Maybe it was Pasti?
I think it was Giggs.
Maybe Giggs. Yeah, Giggs in P15. He's pretty much the last one of that. If we could say it's an extended group all the way from Iamotti.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt, Austin. Dynastics has gone for the lead into the hairpin, and he's made the move stick. So I thought he might just be edging him up, and he's going to try and take a chance of a win. He has done so now. He's in the lead of the race. Now, does Kiski go for this? A, knowing he's got that penalty, but also knowing that Dynastics is not a championship rival. Kiski's got more things to think about than just this race.
Yeah, and Kiski has also won 5 races so far in his AOR career, 3 of them this season. Dynastics, well, he has a win under his belt. That was in the... quite fittingly, that was here in China last season, his only win in AOR. Season 18 in the F4, and now he looks like he's destined to actually continue that trend 2 tiers above that in the F2. Get his second win in his AOR career. What a fantastic story that would be. He's the only driver on the grid, on this grid, to have won the Season 18 Chinese Grand Prix in his tier at the time. No one else did. Kiski didn't. He finished P2, which would be quite fitting as well right now. Pedro didn't. He finished P2. And everyone else, I mean... there was a P3 for Loney, but everyone else barely finished inside the points or outside. So, for most drivers, it really was a good race last season, but Dynastics was the only one to win it, and it looks like he's winning it again. Oh, and Dynastics gets tapped by Kiski into the rear and spun around. Oh, that was an absolutely dirty move there from Kiski. He overcooked it into the hairpin, and now Dynastics seems to be struggling. And Kiski just drives on as if it was nothing. I think that might be an additional penalty for Kiski coming after the race. He didn't get one for this incident now during the race, but if Dynastics brings that one to the stewards, I'm pretty sure that Kiski will get a penalty for this one.
Yeah, surely. If it's clear cut as you making it sound, Austin, he will go for it. He's now dropped outside the DRS zone as well, so that could give Kiski the win. Out on track at the moment. Further back, Sam Gamer, he's still dropping back from Iamotti. Thyman, he's finding it incredibly hard to try and keep up with these guys with this broken front wing. Jon Palainen has got ahead of him. He's got Johan, Suso, Loney, Max, and Sam Yavin is not too far behind either, as well as Ferhan and Marco Griezmann. So here we go, and Dynastics is in fact catching up. He's getting back in the DRS range. He wants to get this done out on track. He won't know about, well, he might know from Jeff about the penalty Kiski has, but if it's under the safety car and it is just light contact, I think it may have happened in the pit lane with Aero. It will probably get removed, so he needs to do it out on track. He's in the DRS zone once again as Loney in the other Mercedes finds himself in the gravel at turn 10, manages to recover back on circuit. DRS zone open on the Red Bull. Is he going to close in on Kiski? Kiski not really defending that much, but Dynastics not going for the move. If he wants to take this win, he's going to have to get it done soon if he wants to do it on track. just 3 laps remaining at the end of this one.
Yeah, and I was just looking at Kiski's car. That move on Dynastics, that tap to the rear and then spinning him around, did leave its marks on Kiski's car. You can see the right side end plate of the front wing is gone, and Dynastics goes down the inside of turn 1, turn 2, and actually gets the move done. That is what happens when you have significantly less downforce because of your damaged front wing, and Dynastics takes back the lead after just being spun around by his race rival Kiski here. Maybe it won't be a penalty after all, because Dynastics did get the position back. Although, I have to say, I would have liked to see Kiski give the position back straight away after that incident right there. He just overcooked it into the hairpin and tapped the rear of Dynastics, who got spun around as he was about to turn for the apex.
Yeah, and getting past there seems to have done him good, because he's just about keeping that gap above 1 second at the moment. While you've been talking, Austin, we've had a few more retirements. They seem to be dropping like flies all of a sudden here. Suso and Loney out of this race. There's some big position swaps happening. So Pedro has got ahead of Sam Gamer, who I believe disconnected from the session and now got back in. And he's got a gaggle of cars all over the back of him. Johan, Furhan, John Pialainen, Max, Thyman, all battling 5th to 10th place at the moment, all in track. Sam has ran wide slightly there, coming out of turn 12 and 13. That's given Johan the chance. He needs a Thurhan's moved across on him, and Thurhan out of the race. He tried to close on Sam, and that wasn't a clever idea from Thurhan. He could have got him said points. Instead, he's going home with nothing. And could that cause a safety car for the end of the race?
It could very well be, but I have to question Furhan's thinking there. Why are you trying to pull across another car? You have to be able to judge where your opponent is and make sure that you don't crash into them. I'm speechless. That was an absolutely... I don't want to be too critical, but that was a boneheaded move right there. That was... My goodness, you have to be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, he got in trouble last week. I think he got himself a 15 or 10 second penalty after an incident with Sam Yubin, and if Sam takes that to the stewards, he may well get himself another one. The end result of that is Sam, who was looking like he could get a podium earlier on, he's now outside of the points once again in the Williams. Things are just not going well for him this season. Further up though, Max all over the back of Jon Palainen in the racing point. We've not really talked about Max too much since he made his pit stop way early on. He's finding himself in 7th place and on better tyres than the Ferrari at the moment, so this could be a pretty straightforward pass soon. Somehow Thyman's in 8th place. Marco Kriesman, we talked about him trying to help Jon Palainen earlier on. He's not too far behind his teammates at the moment. He is in 9th position, but Dynastics, he's coming around the hairpin soon to start his final lap. Jon Palainen, he's going to be a sitting duck here for the DRS, and the power of Max moves to the inside, and that should be a fairly straightforward pass. Jon Palainen well within his rights. He's trying to fight it off around the outside, but he's got less grip on his car. But Max now has a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits there. But Dynastics, it's looking good for him to take his first win of the season at the moment.
Yeah, it's one more lap for him, and at this point, I mean, you're starting to think about everything but that win, really. You try to just keep your mind at ease, try to focus as much as possible on actually getting the car around once more. It's so easy to spin these cars around, and there's still a couple of really tricky corners to come. One of them right here, turn 10. The second part of this left-hander, really tricky. Navigated nicely. Then we have the second snake corner coming up here, turn 11, 12, 13. Also a tricky one. He's 3 seconds clear of Kiski now. Sure, I don't want to curse him, but with the banking, that does help the drivers a little bit. Because it does make it that you don't have to steer as much as you would without banking. The straight, fairly straightforward, obviously, and then hairpin. Gotta watch out on the throttle there on the exit, that you don't go overboard with it and actually drop the car and then find the corner. He's already weaving before the final corner. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now you can weave, and it is Dynastics coming across the line to win the Chinese Grand Prix. Now 2 wins for him here at China in his AOR career. No other track where he's won it all.
Yeah, and on the final lap of the race, Marco Kriesman has managed to get past Jon Polainen, so the 2 Ferraris swapping. Iamotti moves up to second because of that penalty for Kieski, who's in third. Pedro fourth, Johan fifth. Marco Kriesman and Jon Polainen 6th and 7th. Thyman recovering to 8th place. Not too bad considering he got that damage quite early on in the stint on that medium tyres. Max in 9th and Sam Yabin rounding out the points in 10th position. But it is Dynastics. No points in the first half of this season. He starts the second half with victory at China. Looking like he's a bit of a China merchant, and if he has a race like that every time in China, he won't be complaining it too much with that. Great performance from him. What might have been for Antoine, who did start on pole but couldn't connect, but Dynastics, he did everything you could have asked from him in that race. Fantastic job from the Red Bull man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to also give pretty much a big shout out to Iamotti. He started in 18th and finally got his 3rd podium. And remember, we talked about it in the US, at the US Grand Prix. He had a little bit of an upwards trend ever since he dropped into a little bit of a hole there at race 3 at Silverstone, where he only finished 12th. Since then, P11, P6, P4, and now P2 after a fantastic race from pretty much the back of the grid. Absolutely amazing stuff from him. And if we were to hand out a Driver of the Day award, I think it would have to go to Iamotti.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job. You can see how crazy a race it was when you look at the difference between the grid and the finishing positions. Dynastics takes a win. Iamotti, 16 places promoted from his grid slot to take second. Kieski in third. Pedro fourth. Johan fifth. 2 Ferraris of Kriesman and Lompolainen, 6th and 7th. Thyman 8th. Max 9th. Sam Yabin 10th. Giggs 11th, Pasti 12th, Sam 13th. He was the final finisher. We had 6 retirements in this race, and that's not counting Antoine, of course, who couldn't start. But I think you've got long odds at the start of this race if you said Dynastics would take the victory. I'm going to be honest, I thought it was just down to that wet weather in qualifying, and he got his timing spot on, but he was fantastic in that race, got a superb start on those medium tyres. You could argue maybe a bit of luck with the safety car coming out, allowing him to spend less time in the pits, but you've got to make your own luck at times, and he grabbed the ball by the horns to take the victory today.
Yeah, he really did, and I'm pretty sure no one's going to be more happy about this race than him, although again, Iamotti probably a close second there as well. But yeah, Dynastics, absolutely fantastic race from him, and I'm pretty sure he's going to try and keep that momentum going for the next race next week at the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park in Melbourne.
Yeah, the traditional season opener will be round 8 here at AOR. Head over to the AOR channel now to see the Xbox One F1 race. That will also be coming from China. From myself and Austin, we will be back next week, same time, same place from Australia. Will Kieski be able to continue his charge to the championship? He's lost the lead slightly to Iamotti at the moment. Will we see another complete surprise winner as Dynastics, second on the grid, managed to take the victory and his first points of the season? But from myself and Austin, thank you so much for watching and good night.